Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, basically what we'll be doing is we'll be creating a Three.js experience, or you can say project with Vue.js. And by the end of this video, you should have something like this working. Uh, and from next video onwards, we'll be integrating webxr with whatever we'll be building in this by the end of this video. Okay. So I'll be using white for the setup for basically all the stuff. Okay. So let me do it. For dev setup and production and all that stuff. Vue 3, using Vue, customize with create view. No, I want routing to be enabled. No state, no unit testing, no cypress, no, and just PMI. Let it install. Okay, and I'll open in Visual Studio Code. So now first I'll just remove the boilerplate code which is not going to be required for us. Okay, so I don't think assets I need anything. I'll just remove this base CSS and main CSS. For now I'll remove everything. I'll come back to it later. Components, I don't need anything. Just, 1 second, sorry about that. Delete. Okay. And I'll not be needing to views as well. Okay, in the app.view I'll just remove everything in the template except the router view. Okay, by the way, I'll not be explaining a lot about Vue and Vue 3, and I'll not be using any advanced stuff of Vue 2 also. So, sorry, Vue 3. So, if you have some familiarity with Vue 3, that should be enough. Okay, and I think that's it. For public, I don't need favicon also. And okay, and I think that should be it, I guess. I'll go to router index.js. I'll just create first a cube component. Okay, and I'll put it inside a folder called cube.vue. Okay, and let me write script setup. Sorry about that. Okay, I think I messed up the script. Yeah, anyway, and I'll use template HTML. Okay, and that's it, I guess. I'll just see if I need style. I'll just add them as well. So I'll just connect this basically on the home route or path. I would want the cube component. Okay, cube.view. Okay, this should be enough, I guess, and I think we can start importing Three.js also now. Okay, let me install Three.js specific version of 0.148.0. let me check once more. Yeah, and that's it. Let's see. Okay, anyway, I have imported the cube component and that's it. And yeah, I'll just give some basic stylings. Okay, and I might revisit this file again later, but for now we can just give some basic styling. Okay, got it. I'll give it overflow of hidden. I'll give a background color of E1A1A. Cool. Save. That's it, I guess, and I'll start running it also. npm run dev. Okay, let me copy this. So we have the basic white Vue project running. Okay, so now we can start with the Three.js part. As you might have noticed, like most of the Three.js code for the cube component will be put inside this cube file, single file component file. Similarly, we'll have other components also based on, if you have seen my previous video of the playlist, like of so we'll have all those different experiences in different routes to make it component based kind of architecture anyway, like how we normally do for any front-end application nowadays. So anyway, we can start with cube.vue file. Okay, so now first I'll import from 3. Okay, and this is it, and we can now create something called scene. Okay, so I'll be going along explaining some of the stuff. Okay, but I would suggest you to check out my previous playlist, which was mainly just about Three.js and webxr. But still I'll be explaining here also. Okay, but that playlist has just Three.js and webxr API, so it might not confuse you with Vue stuff. Okay, anyway, so with regards to scene, okay, you can imagine something like you're sitting in your room, okay, and you're surrounded by 4 walls, and the top you have the roof and the bottom you have the floor. So you can imagine something called scene as synonym to that. Okay, you can otherwise take it as a container also, but I feel like the room synonym makes more sense. Okay, so we have a 3J scene. Okay, now what we can have is like we can have 3D objects, okay, or meshes you can say. Okay, and those meshes or 3D objects needs two things. One is geometry and one is material. Geometry provides the shape to the mesh, and material provides the color or roughness or whatever is, stuff basically to the mesh or 3D object. But for our terms, we'll be mainly focusing on color aspect of material. Okay, so for that we'll be having one box geometry. I think my, and we'll be having it on the 3 axes. Okay, I'm basically putting one unit on all the axes. Okay, now I'll be creating a box material. I think my Visual Studio Code is not helping with auto completion, I guess. Anyways, medium purple, my standard material. Okay, and one more thing is like there are different kinds of material, like how we have different kind of geometries also. I'm using something called mesh standard material. This needs light. Basically, whatever you see in your environment, you're seeing because of you have light interaction because of that reason. So something similar has to be done in the 3Gs also. Okay, and since we're using this material, we want light to be present in the scene also. So because of that, we'll be adding a light as well, little further. Okay. Anyway, first I'll just create a mesh, then I'll just add the light. Let box equal to, now using new 3 dot mesh box geometry and box material. Okay, and we need to specifically add it to a scene. Okay, it's very important. Like it's, you can imagine like you're putting an object inside in your room. Okay, and this is it, and we have this. Now I'll add one light. Okay, there are different kinds of light again in 3Js. I'll be using a specific kind of light which is ambient light. This is going to add light to all the meshes present in the scene. Okay, and I think it's, I'll give it an intensity of 1, and I'll again have to add it to the scene. This is very important. You might, if you have some bugs, you need to check whether you have added scene or not. Okay, because you might miss it out. Okay, so this is done, I guess. Okay, so we have the object or box added to the scene. We have light also added to the scene. Okay, now we need something called camera. Okay, just to give you a little bit more context, I would say you can imagine camera as something what your eyes are like to, basically you need eyes to interact or see whatever your environment. So something similar is we have something called perspective camera in for Three.js. Okay, so we're gonna create that camera now. Okay, new 3. Okay, and this perspective camera needs 4 arguments. One is the vertical field of view. I'll be giving it 75. Okay, and another is window dot inner width divided by, this is basically the aspect ratio. Okay, and we'll be using something called, and we'll be basically giving 3J something for near plane as well as the far plane. Okay, and I'll be giving it, I think 0.1 should be enough for the near plane, and for the far plane I'll be giving 100. Okay, these values can be customized again. Okay, this is the cameras, and I'll give it a cameras, I can give position to the camera. Okay, let me do it later. Okay, let's come back to it later. Anyway, I need to add it to the scene again. Yes. Okay, so we have added a camera. Okay, and this is it. Okay, and okay, once again, if you feel you're lost somewhere, then I would suggest you to check out my previous playlist. Okay, I have went through more deeply in compared to how much I'm going through in this playlist and this video basically. Okay, with regards to 3Js, basic stuff. Okay, anyway, so we have the scene and we have the camera. Okay, now we need to somehow have something rendered onto the browser as well. So basically you have the scene, okay, and you have your eyes. You can imagine you're in the room, you have the eyes, okay, and you are seeing the environment, okay. But something for the browser context, you can imagine we have the scene, okay. In there you have the light, okay, so the light is on, okay, and you have the camera, and you're seeing the cameras from the camera's perspective, you're seeing the scene, okay. So we need to have a snapshot, you can say, of the whole uh, scene, what is visible to the camera, okay. And for that we needs to be populate shown to us through the browser window, okay. So that for that reason we'll be using something called canvas, okay, and we'll be connecting that canvas and we'll basically passing that canvas DOM element to the 3Js WebGL renderer, okay, so that whatever 3Js wants to render, it's going to render on the canvas, okay. And for us to pass the native DOM element, we need to use something like this in Vue. So let me do let okay. This should give us the access. I think it should have imported from Vue. Okay, anyway, so this is giving us the access canvas ref. Okay, now we need to create a renderer. I'll be creating in the on mounted hook. Okay, basically when this cube component is mounted, I'll initialize the render in that place. So, and before that, I'll to make it accessible to all the other parts of the code, I'll initialize here only. I'll basically declare it here. So this should be enough, I guess. I'll take it, come here, webgl. I think it's too much hard, frankly saying, remembering everything. Anyway, webgl renderer, and we need to pass in the canvas. Okay, canvas ref dot value, it's gonna be the DOM element. Okay, we need to pass it here, and we need to do some extra. We need to tell what is the size of the canvas. Okay, basically we need to set the canvas size and all. So using this we can do that, set size. Okay, it will be by default window inner width and window dot inner height, and we need to set a pixel ratio so that whatever is the pixel ratio we'll be using that pixel ratio. So render dot set pixel ratio window dot device pixel ratio. Okay, and then we need to render the scene, basically take the snapshot. Okay, and this should do it. Okay, and I think this should be enough for us to run, I guess. Okay, I've not done any obvious mistakes. Let's see what happens, and we can tweak if anything's wrong. Oh, sorry, typo. Okay, you may be thinking why is the cube not visible? Because the main reason is like by default, whenever you add something to the scene, okay, it's going to be placed in a 0, 0 location coordinate system, okay, in the 3D coordinate system, and basically that's the center of the scene. So the box has been placed on the center. The camera, with the help of which we should be able to see the box, that also is in the center. So basically, you can imagine a camera is inside the box, so you can't see it because of that reason. So what we'll do is like we'll be modifying the camera's position as well as the box position also somewhat. Okay, you can do either one, but I'm going to do a little bit both tweaking. Okay, camera dot position dot y equal to 1, camera dot position dot z equal to 2, and for box dot position dot set, I'll just be placing it a little bit behind in the z-axis, in the negative z-axis. By the negative z-axis, one more thing, yeah, just to be on the same page. Positive x is on the right direction, positive y is on the top, and positive z is towards you. So that's when you do -2, which is telling put the box in a negative z direction, it's going to be behind. Okay, basically towards inside the laptop, you can imagine like that, or mobile. Okay, so this is okay, and I have changed the position of the camera, but I would want the camera to always focus on the center of the scene. For that reason, I'll be using something called camera.look at new 3 dot vector 3. Vector 3 is nothing but just a coordinate you can imagine in the 3D space, and I'll be telling it to point to 0, 0, 0. Okay, which is the center of the scene. So we'll be having the anyway, we'll see. Okay, what is it, whether it's coming something around this time. As you can see, we have the box. First of all, you might imagine like this is a little bit not looking good. Okay, so for that thing we can do something called anti-alias. Okay, this should be okay. Now I think the box should be a little bit better. Okay, as you can see, it's a little bit better. Okay, and one more thing, by default the canvas has some color also. So I don't want the canvas color to come up. Basically not the canvas color, but I want the canvas to be transparent. Basically I want it behind the background. Just to be on the same page, let me do one thing. I'll change to blue color. As you can see, you can't see the blue background because the canvas has the black background. Okay, so what I'm going to do is like I'm going to come to app dot sorry not app, cube.view, and put alpha true. This is going to enable us to make the canvas transparent. So now you should be able to see the blue screen. Weird, did I miss out something? Oh, sorry. Okay, Okay, I think this is killing me now. Okay, anyway, yeah, as you can see now it's coming properly. Anyway, I'll just give it back. Something, it's not completely black, it's a little bit slightly different tone of black. Anyway, uh, so yeah, we have this cube, and you might be thinking like we just have one. Basically, what is happening? There is no interaction with the cube. This is the main reason because we are just showing. We are taking this scene. We have the camera, and we are taking a snapshot of the scene from the camera and just rendering it to the browser's canvas. Okay, and this is happening only one time when the component gets mounted. Okay, so for that, for what we need, if you want a rotating cube like how I shown in the initial part of the this video, so we need to somehow tell browser to we'll need to do some animations. Okay, and animation is nothing but just a sequence of images which are running very fast. So there is something called request animation frame, okay, which browser provides us. I'll not be going too much depth in there, what is it and all other stuff, but just on a surface level, you can imagine like request animation frame accepts a function which tells the browser to execute that function before the next repaint. Okay, if it had bounced off your head, then I would suggest you to check out my previous playlist, this Three.js video again. Okay, I think this is enough, I feel. Anyway, we can continue with this part. So so we'll be using something called request animation frame. Okay, so we need to pass it a function. Okay, to the request animation frame. So what we can do is like we can create a function here. And what do you want? Like we'll be basically trying to rotate the cube, like how in the basically how I had shown in the beginning part of the video. For that, what we'll be doing is like we'll be just taking the rotation property and just incrementing it by zero point 0.2 per frame. Not point 2 will be too fast. Okay, this is done, and we'll be rendering the scene again every time whenever we modify the box. Okay, and we'll be again sending the scene and camera. Okay, and we need to one more thing with request animation frame is you have to tell it every time, like you have to call it again and again. So I'll have to again pass the same function inside it. Okay, as you can see, and I'll be calling it on the first time on the when the mount lifecycle is being called on the mounted. Okay, after that it should work again by itself. Okay, so let's see whether something comes on properly. As you can see, the cube has started rotating. Okay, but I'll not be using request animation frame here. I'll just be commenting this code. The main reason is like we'll be using something called which is set animation loop, which is provided by Three.js. Why that is the case? Because it helps you write less boilerplate code and it becomes less complicated for the webxr stuff. So that's why I'll be using that, but I'll just keep the code there and comment it. But I'll not be using request animation frame, and I'll be just creating this function, and on the mounted lifecycle hook I'll be calling the set animation loop with the loop property with the loop function. Okay, and that should be okay. And since I'm mounting it, I would like to like not whenever this component gets unmounted, I want to stop calling to the browser also. For that reason, you have to specifically call render.set animation loop null. Okay, this should work, I guess. Let's see whether it works or not. Okay, anyway, again this cube is rotating. I'll just refresh so that we're on the same page, basically to be very 100% sure whether it's working or not. Okay, so this is done, I guess. Okay, now I think we have the cube rotating. Okay, I would like to show you one thing. Okay, as you can see, if I increase the size of basically when I reduce the size of the window, it's the cube is not being responsive. Basically, the scene is not responsive. So for that reason, for basically to make it responsive, we need to do some extra stuff. So what I'll be doing is I'll create one more function. Okay, and that function will be resize. Resize callback better. Okay, and I would be calling this function again and again whenever there is any resize event occurs on the browser's window. So, and that should, and whenever it happens, I'll be updating the renderer, or what you can say the canvas, based on a new dimensions. Okay, and we need to update the camera also, camera's aspect ratio. Okay, this is it. And whenever we update a camera, we need to update, call something called camera.update projection matrix. I'll not be going too much depth what it means and all. You can research it on your in your free time. Again, okay, and we need to call this. Well, basically, when I'm mounting the component, I can hook the call back to the resize event listener. I think this should do the job. And I would like to remove it also when the component get unmounted. Let's see. As you can see, this time it's responsive. Okay, and I think this is okay enough, I felt. But anyway, we can add something more. Okay, as you can see, I can't rotate the cube. It's just gonna rotate by itself on the around the y-axis. But there is something called orbit control, which Three.js gives us. Okay, with the help of which we can do a little bit more cool stuff. I'll show you. Import. It's present in the 3 examples /gsm /controls /orbit controls. Okay, and you need to call it here, and I'll again make it accessible throughout the whole code and all. Okay, let controls, and controls will need the some extra stuff. Okay, so we'll need to call controls whenever we are updating. Basically, in the what should I say, in the loop, we'll be calling controls also. Controls.update. Okay, and we'll be calling it again in the. Well, basically, we have not initialized controls till now, so we'll do it here, I guess. New orbit controls, and we need to pass it the camera and the DOM element, which is nothing but canvas ref dot value. And after this, we need this should be enough, but I'll enable one property on it, which is enable damping, which makes it smooth. Okay, you'll understand what I'm trying to say one second in the demo. I think this should be it. Okay, let's see whether any issues are there or not. Okay, now this is the cube rotating. Now I've not clicked my mouse, but now I'll click it. As you can see, after I click, I can rotate the cube anyway. It's rotating the y-axis also, but I am able to do some extra stuff in the cube as well. I think this should be enough, I guess, for this video. Okay, and in the next video, we'll be basically adding the AR support, and you'll be realizing it's how much simple is that to add AR scene to this basically cube. Okay, anyways, I think this should be enough, I guess. But yeah, I'll just show the deployment also in this video only. Let me do that also. So for deploying, what I'll be doing is like I'll be using Versal. Sorry, not Versal, it's Versal. Okay, and I'll be installing Versal first. And let it install. I need to by the way, you need to have a Versal account as well. Okay, and I already have it, so if you want to deploy, you can deploy it while following this video as well. Otherwise, you need to first create an account, which I think you can use just a Google search away to know how to create it. Okay, but anyway, I'll just show you the basic step. So Versal minus prod. Okay, so this should be it. And one more thing is like we'll be needing something called versal.json file. Okay, This file is required basically. It's basically to tell Versa if you have any kind of something specific customization you would like to do. I would like to add this code in here. This is basically like if by default, if you don't do this and we are having single page application, if you go to some different routes, it might give it will give 404. So to avoid that, we'll be doing this source slash dot star. No, this is okay. Destination. I think this is correct, I guess. Let's see anyway. So this is done. Okay, and I'll do it npm run deploy. This is gonna run the command which I put in the package.json, which is this, nothing but this. And yes, no, and this is it. Let's just see. Let me do one thing. I'll just copy this. So as you can see, we have the cube. Okay, and this is the end of this video, and I hope to see you soon in the next video as well. And in the next video, basically we'll be adding the AR support. Okay, so hope to see you there. Okay, thanks till watching till here. Okay, and bye, and see you there.